So I'm going to sit right here. Hey, look at that. That works kind of good. Okay, perfect. So the reason why we're here is because of your story. And I got to fill in a little for the video. I'm going to get your story started kind of to help you from my point of view, and then you're going to take it from there. And when we started this was last year, and you were bringing over a very difficult time to my house, weren't you?
I was.
What were some of the things you were doing when you'd come over?
So I was.
Stay calm. We're talking.
I was.
Not quiet, calm.
Sorry. So I was pulling the silent treatment, and no matter how much you tried to get me to ask questions, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, and then instead of asking questions, what would you usually do when you weren't giving me the silent treatment?
I would lie or point out the obvious or say really unbelievable things.
Like what unbelievable things?
Like my mom signing a contract.
Mm-hmm. But more importantly, I want to keep you on target. You would come over and say mean things to me directly. What kind of mean things would you say to me directly before you started telling me about your story?
I remember I used to tell you like you were a dirty, drunken beast.
And
that you were just really mean and you were lying all the time.
And you would tell me things that you hated me.
And that I didn't want to be with you, and that I just said I hated you.
Yeah. And then I got so crazy that I quit my job at Nike, and I devoted myself to Buddhism, and then I made that Buddhist video for you. And what was your response to my Buddhist video?
I said, man, I really messed up.
And how did you realize that you messed up?
Because kids at school, when I asked them if it was like normal for like my mom to do what she's doing, they said heck no.
What else did they say about it?
And they said that if my mom was doing it, that she must be crazy.
And that started changing your story, and you started opening up to me after that. And after that weekend, where your mom texted me and saying she wanted to go to a doctor to work out our problems on the day that you told your mom that your friend said what she was doing was messed up, she decided to pretend like it never happened, didn't she?
She did.
So after that, you started telling me about Mr. Dewity. Now I want to start with how we got into that, because that was very unexpected. And the way we got into that, I was making a joke with you one night. We were talking about your mom working for the devil, and I started showing you symbols and stuff, and you said those things were all over your house. Correct?
Correct.
And then we started talking, and then you started telling me about what went on right before I came back into your life 4 years ago when I had been pushed away. And what did you tell me went on right before I came back into your life?
That Mr. Dewity came over with pictures and with...
Stay on point with the pictures first. Keep going about the pictures. So Mr. Dewity came over with pictures. Keep talking about those.
And then he started showing them to me and Mom.
And what did he say about those pictures?
And he said that they were from the future and that you would cause the end of the world, like what was in the pictures.
And to stop the end of the world, what did you and your family need to do?
To get you out of our lives, get you out of the way.
And in exchange for this, what did Mr. Dewity promise your family for you getting rid of me?
A bunch of money, a big house, and An Xbox.
And an Xbox, and we're back to the Xbox. And so life was pretty crazy from September to December when this was going on. And your story got so deep that you drew a contract for me with symbols. You told me things I couldn't even find on the internet. And then on my birthday, it left me interviewing at the FBI and reporting your mom and you for being involved in something that might be really evil. But you guys found out that I went to the FBI. How did you find out that I went to the FBI?
I have no idea, but my mom said you were going to the FBI.
So someone told her.
And then she told me.
And then you guys laughed at me.
Saying that it would never work.
Because Mr. Dewity was too powerful.
And that he controlled everyone in the FBI except for the very top people.
Yeah. So it was pointless for me to go anywhere to try and get help because everybody, according to you, that is in a position to help is already owned by who?
Mr. Dewity.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Dewity, after showing you these pictures and telling you I was going to cause the end of the world and telling you to get rid of me, how often did he come over to your house after that?
He used to actually come quite often.
How often do you remember?
I remember like once to a couple times a month.
And what would he do? What were some things he would do with you when he came over to visit?
So one time he came over with a DVD player.
Mm-hmm.
And then other times he took me a ride in his super customized van.
Mm-hmm.
To go get pancakes at Blackbird Diners, or Blackbird Diner.
Yeah, or pizza, or go on road trips. And what would some of the things he talked to you about when he would spend time with you?
Mostly about this place called the Antarctic City, where he took all the super smart people
Mm-hmm.
To work for him.
Exactly.
But he gave a very legitimate reason of protecting them.
So he told you that he moved all the smart, creative people to the Antarctic City to protect them.
Yes, but now I don't believe it so much.
Did he tell you anything else about how he found them, about what he did to get him to keep the secret about the city? Did he tell you anything about that?
He told me how he often won people over. Like he promised to make their ideas successful or give them a bunch of money so that they were able to continue on their ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And give them a big company to make their ideas happen.
Or make them famous.
Or make them famous like a bunch of singers like Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber, all those famous people.
That he said he makes them also sign contracts and owns them.
Yes.
And so did he have a picture made with all the people he owned to sell your mom to say, this is your big house and these are going to be all your new super famous friends when you're done? Did he ever show her anything like that?
Yes, he did. And then right after that, Mom signed one of his contracts.
One of? So there's more than one?
Yeah, because he makes a bunch of people sign.
He does.
So that's why there's so many. Because it's not the same exact, just one contract.
He has different contracts for getting people to do different things.
Yeah, but I only saw one kind.
The one your mom signed.
Yeah.
Then you told me your mom hung that contract on her bedroom wall. How long did she have that contract hanging on her wall for?
Years.
And what caused her to take it down?
When I started telling you about the contracts. And then she hid it, and I never saw it since.
Exactly. Now, this is a really big story. for someone to take from their son. And so it all had to start somewhere. And Mr. Dewity told you when he started following me in my life and influencing my life. And when did he start doing it?
Yeah, he said that he found you in a field of crops and took you to who you thought was your real family.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, he's controlled every bit of my life from behind the scenes.
Yes. Yes, he has.
And an example of that, what have you seen that would tell you that there's an example of the amount of control he's had on my life ever since I was a kid? Have you ever seen anything that proves that to you?
Yeah, a bunch of times my grandpa took me to Freemason temples where I saw a wall of pictures all about your life. And I saw a couple pictures of your childhood, of one where you were drawing on a desk when you were really young, and another time when you were basically bald but with blue hair, with a guy that kind of had an upside down bowl haircut.
And what other pictures did you see on this wall of pictures in the Freemason temples?
I remember seeing a picture that looked like an infrared picture, but it was reversed. Where it should be red, it was blue.
And what did they tell you about this picture?
They said that someone was watching you through curtains or blinds.
So even when I have my blinds closed, they're watching me with infrared cameras.
Yes, because they don't have X-ray lenses.
Is that what they told you? So, when you went to these Mason lodges, or these Freemason lodges, and you saw the pictures of my life on the wall, were there other people there?
Yes, there were like a few guys in dark clothes and cloaks with scary monster masks.
And was your grandpa one of these people?
Yes, he was.
And during the time, what job or role did your grandpa play in your time at these Freemason temples or lodges?
He mainly sacrificed animals.
While you watched?
While I watched.
And that was very hard for us to get through because it troubled you, didn't it?
Yeah. It made me cry a lot.
It did. It's still really tough to think about, so we're not going to talk much about that part.
Yeah, but it's also kind of an important part.
Yeah. And so, after that, after last summer, you stopped going to the Freemason lodges, and shortly after you started telling me about it, and it kind of freaked me out and drove me a little crazy. And now I'm seeing a doctor. And I've confronted your grandpa, and he's confirmed that your Uncle Jason is a Freemason. But after you told me this whole story, no one will talk to me. Not my mom, not my dad, not my brother, not my sister, not the monks, not your mom, no one. So where it's leading me to believe is that somehow Mr. Dewity has his fingers in everyone around me. Because the super souped up van that you talked about and described, I've seen that van at Buddhist functions. And it's a very strange van that stands out. It's not like any other van you're ever going to see, is it?
No, it's not. It's not like one of the vans that you see at a car dealership.
No, it's not. So for you to describe a vehicle like that and for me to see that somewhere, it was a very unique vehicle, very expensive vehicle. So after you started telling me this story back in November, let's just go with that, and I went to the FBI, and then you kept telling me about it, and you kept making deals, and you kept going along with it. what eventually made it so Mr. Dewity stopped coming around?
Basically, when I told you his name, and when we went on the internet and said, "Hey, that's him. That's what he looks like."
And you pointed out a man who was involved in a very serious event that was wearing a Freemason hat, and you said, "That's the guy," didn't you?
I did.
And then right after that, he never showed up ever again, did he?
No, he didn't.
And ever since then, we've been on this weird journey together, trying to figure out the truth. But no one's going to tell us because they've all signed contracts. Your mom signed a contract, your grandpa signed a contract, and they're all deathly afraid of Mr. Dewity. And what was the last thing you remember Mr. Dewity ever saying to you?
I remember him saying that the Buddha actually made a deal to get where he was, to be the Buddha.
So he even told you the secrets of Buddhism and religions and told you he was there in some form, right?
Right.
So this is a man who literally is the mysterious man who controls everything in the world. You're telling me he's out to ruin my life and has been sitting down and playing video games with you and telling you the stories of all his time on planet Earth.
Or he used to.
He used to. And where did he come from?
He said he came from a world, or another world, that was really, really pretty and beautiful. But the king there was awful, and then these 4 guys showed up. And then that's when he became a Mara.
When he made the deal with those 4 guys.
Yes.
And that's what he told you, is that he wasn't Mara before, he became Mara after making a deal.
Right.
With these 4 guys. And who are these 4 guys?
I heard they were the 4 bosses, or the 4 Maras.
And that's what he told you.
Yes.
Now that story is one of the deepest stories in Buddhism that is the hardest to find about what happened to all the Maras. I never taught you that. Now, we're about done here because there's not much more we need to fill in because it'll just be details. So, before we end, I want you to describe his physical appearance. Talk to me again about the kind of clothes you saw him wear, what he carried with him, just so that way people know, and I know, that he's a real man who has a personality.
So he had jeans with a flaming skull on the back pocket,
Mm-hmm.
and he had an encrusted or engraved cane with a skull on it.
That he walked around with all the time.
Yeah, and I've never seen him without it.
So is there anything else that you want to fill in to help me with this story before I press stop? Is there anything else that you feel is really important that you may have already said or didn't say that you want recorded that's going to be important later?
Not that I can remember.
So, then I think we're done. Perfect timing. Before we complete, I just want to do this one last thing. Did I instruct you on what to say?
Never.
Did I tell you in any way, shape, or form any part of the story that you were to repeat on video, or is this all a real story from your life?
It's all a real story.
And there's not really much else to say about it, is there?
No.